guys, welcome back to episode 21 of Tank Chats. Here we are today taking a look at what the kids nowadays would quote unquote call a thick boy. Today we're looking at the M103A2 heavy tank, a heavy tank in service from about 1957 to 1974. So without further ado, we're hopping in history, and I gotta give the shout out for knowing you. Guys. So with Russia coming out with more heavy and lethal main battle tanks and heavier tanks, the U.S. looked at something that they needed to basically counteract them. So development of this vehicle was known as the T-43, developed around 1957, and they were starting to be produced in 1957. Like I said, they saw service from 1957 to 1974. Marine Corps was the last one that phased them out. They were mainly used as Cold War border tanks, so they were equipped to U.S. Army infantry and armored units that we consider like a heavy tank battalion. So they would have like 3 companies of these in a heavy tank battalion. They would have a mix of other vehicles, so like M60s and M48s and stuff like that. These were actually designed to kind of deal with heavier Russian armor and would replace kind of the M48 in that role. But it didn't really see that way, it didn't come that way. So it's kind of the history of this. And around about, I'd say about, it's the ballpark from around like, so this is actually quite a rare vehicle. So there are only 300 of these built, and this is one of those 300 that were built. So just interesting enough, like I said, kind of a rare vehicle. So pretty cool when these vehicles are made. So not too many. So we're looking at a fairly rare vehicle today. And it was produced in 3 different variants, the M103, M103A1, and M103A2, which is the variant that we're looking at today. The reason we know is because up here you see bolts for an IR spotting scope, just like how we saw in the Sheridan and the M60. So that is it specifies it or signifies it as a later production M103. So like I said, these were not in service for too long. Like I said, about 57 to 74. Didn't see any combat, but the Marines were the last one to use them and phased them out in 1974, and they started getting issued the M60s. And by then, the M1 Abrams was actually well on its way to being in the prototypes and almost actually in service, because in 1980s when it first entered service. So with that, we're gonna hop into the tour of the vehicle, you guys. So hopping right into the tour of the vehicle, guys. Like I said, this is quote unquote a thick boy because these had 5 inches of slope frontal armor. Very effective for a heavy tank. So what you're looking at here, this steel plate right here was 5 inches thick, so about probably that thick of armor, just some pure steel. Some access down here to the transmission and power pack we down here. We have front tracks, rubberized, wide track suspension, front fenders. Service drive lights right here. So you have service drive, and then there's a blackout marker right here. Right here is your driver's house with his periscope. Actually flips open. This will be his vision periscopes and his here we got the mantlet, and you got the big signifying feature, the 120mm gun. And like I said on the front, we'll come get a shot of this. Those bolts up on the top up here. That's how we know it's an M103A2, because it has the mount for the IR spotting scope. Right there's the spot for the machine gun, and also come to this side, this is where the gunner's sight would be for the big old gun. So that pretty much does it for the front of the vehicle, you guys. With that, we're gonna hop into the turret. All right, so hopping up into the turret here, you guys. So right here we got the loader's hatch. So funnily enough, standard doctrine at the time was a crew of 4 for like main battle tanks, but this funnily enough had 5. Because it had 2 loaders. It was a separate loading system for a 120mm gun. What it would do is it would fire a projectile, and then it would have a casing that was fed into the breech after the projectile, and would just fire like a regular casing, and would eject like a regular casing, just how we see. So, like I said, the mantlet was the thickest part of the armor. This would have up to 10 inches of armor on the turret. Loader's hatch is right here. Right here is the commander's hatch, so you see his swivel mount for his 50 caliber machine gun. He would have a 50 caliber down over there in the turret where that slit is. They would sometimes modify it. They would have a 50 caliber or a 30-06, or sometimes they would put even 2 in there for secondary machine guns. Back here we got ventilation for the crew, mount for combo equipment and combo wires. And the little ears, like they call the little joke, they call little ears here. Those are the IR spotting scopes, so the infrared lasers that would basically feed to the little ballistics computer on the inside when they were firing the gun. On the side of the turret, you got a bustle rack for stowing equipment, jerry can stowage right here, a bunch of different iron bolt lifting plugs and mounts and barrel rests for the 50 cal. This is the iron bolt lifting plug. You got the bustle on the side. That is a spot for a jerry can right there, so a fuel can, and then of course they'll have a tow cable. So that pretty much does it for the turret, you guys. With that, we'll hop down into the side. Hopping into the side of the vehicle, you guys. Right here we have the standard portion bar suspension system. With going into the main battle tank doctrine, road wheels move to the front, drive sprocket in the back. You have your tracks here with rubberized tracks, and this one has, let's count it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 support wheels, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main road wheels, and then 8 if you count the front drive wheel. But like I said, this was a heavy tank, designed to go against heavier Russian armor and be used in the Cold War. On the side of the turret here, we'll come get a close shot. So these vehicles were produced by General Motors division of Chrysler. So you see the General Motors stamp was actually right here on the turret, signifying it's a General Motors vehicle. Now the transmission was a 3-speed Continental AD 850 transmission, which basically works as a 3-shift because you have 2 speeds forward, 1 reverse. And this thing would only go, this model specifically, since this is Alpha 2, will go about 23 miles per hour. So kind of particular number, but I bet if you cranked it or went downhill, you could probably get up to 25. But yeah, so right here we got some stowage boxes on the side. Stowage box right here, stowage box there, stowage box here. And you wouldn't see these with dust covers, so it doesn't really have any spots for dust covers, but you see the access to the tracks and transmission nonetheless. So that pretty much does it for the side. With that, we will hop into the rear of the vehicle. So hopping into the back of the vehicle, guys, right here we've got the big obvious travel lock. This would be the barrel rest. If they wanted to spin the turnaround, drive and travel lock, or load it on a train. The engine, the exhaust here, and I think this, actually right here, yep, this would have been your talk box. So this would have been access to the radio and stuff in here. So this would feed directly into the commander, and he'd be able to talk to people from inside the vehicle. Look at that, it still works. And it's tanks. I can't math right now, but old enough. Alright, so we're looking at the engine here, and I said it would power up to about 23 miles per hour. Maybe if you pushed it 25. It was a Continental AD V12 engine, gave about 750 horsepower. Like I said, powering this baby up to about 23 miles per hour on the Alpha 2 version. Back here you got the tow hitch, you got blackout marker lights, then you have your reverse lights right here as well, kind of combo. Access to your engine would be in here. And not much else really to say. You got your towing plugs back here as well, and for the pintle, so you can hook a cable through it, hence the steel cable on the back of the turret. Have more bustle rack storage, and the 50 caliber is actually turned and facing this way, but normally it would be facing forward. But so that's gonna do it for the back, you guys. With that, we're gonna hop in and close out this video. All right, with that, you guys, just want to say thank you for tuning in again. Episode 21 of Tank Chats. Today we looked at the M103 Alpha 2. Heavy tank used during the Cold War up until the 70s. And what I'm wearing is kind of accurate to what they could be using in the 70s. They would probably have a couple people wearing CBCs from the Marine Corps had these. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.